Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Asking Muso podcast, brought to you by Jim's Cleaning, Butterham South. Very excited to be heading a little bit down the road to someone in a band I'm a very big fan of. I won't say any more. I'll pass over to you, Joe, and just tell us everyone a little bit about yourself and you know what are you up to?
Hello everyone. My name's Joe. I sing and play guitar and some other instruments in the Jensens. I live in Brisbane, and that's about it.
We'll start with the Jensens. Where to begin? So, how did you guys meet? How did that all sort of kick off?
Me and Bodie and Nathan grew up on the Sunshine Coast, and me and Bodie went to high school together, and we met Nathan back on the coast. We used to have another band on the coast, and then we all moved to Brisbane in about 2012, and me and Bodie went to uni at QUT for a little bit, and that's where we met Philip and Jordan. And yeah, we just kind of started rehearsing in the practice rooms there all throughout 2013, and then wrote a few songs and then called it the Jensens.
Awesome. So did you guys always have that sort of same music taste to begin with, or was it sort of a mash of different ideas?
When we lived on the coast, we just wanted to sound like Wolfmother.
Right.
It definitely sounded like Wolfmother.
So what were you called?
Oh, you don't need to know.
Oh, it's a big... so it was good then. So it was a good one. We're proud of this one.
Yeah, it was good fun.
No, that's good. So since 2013, lots has happened. What sort of like... How did you sort of kick off like the Jensens? Like getting shows and all that? We always sort of... you always have a bit of a plan, or did you just sort of see how long it would run its course for and it'd be a bit of fun and see what happened?
Yeah, I guess like we'd already had a lot of fun with that previous band on the coast, and I guess we were a little bit more serious, and like we went to uni to kind of network and stuff like that, and learn some things. So when we started the Jensens, we were like, let's get a whole set of an hour set of songs first before we play any gigs or release any music, and just rehearse the shit out of it until we just know it backwards. And so we did that for a year, and at the end of 2013 we recorded like 3 songs, and then I think come 2014 we were like, all right, let's like get started and put out a single and then played our first show. But we kind of had like a year worth of releases and shows and ideas kind of all theoretically planned out before we did our first show.
That's really smart, like especially now when you think about it, to know that you're not just sort of making do for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely didn't want to get stuck early on where we were like, oh, okay, we've put out all our songs and, now we're not sure what to do.
Yeah, and I suppose that can sort of breed a bit of let's run its course now, that was a bit of fun. Whereas if you have a bit of a plan, you've got stuff behind you. Like obviously the performance, sometimes it's just a matter of organising it. But if you don't feel super ready, why rush it?
Yeah, exactly. We didn't want to start anything until we're like, we know exactly what we're doing. So we wouldn't, get asked to play a 40-minute set and be like, oh shit, we've got to write some more material.
Yeah, exactly. So like every single high school band.
Yeah, exactly. Like we'd already played a few shows, we'd done a few little tours and stuff, so we were like, we knew what kind of roadblocks we would encounter already.
And the things you learn from that you don't want to do again, like being unprepared.
Definitely, yeah.
So the process itself for you guys when you're writing and all that, does one person take the lead, or...?
So I guess it's changed over the years, but so me and Nathan both sing and write our own lyrics that we're going to sing. And it used to be like we would write, a couple of chords, like just basically a chord progression, like an outline of the song and the lyrics and the melody. And then we'd bring that to practice and we would just see what everyone wanted to add in, and then we'd go from there. And that was how it started, like back when we first started. But lately, like on the last album we did, it became me, Nathan, and Bodie as the kind of songwriters, and we would all, like, me and Nathan wrote our vocals over the top of Bodie's songs, but all 3 of us would write a full demo, like everything that we wanted in there, and then we would bring it to each other and then pull it apart and then put it back together.
Yeah, so therefore everyone gets their say on sort of their bits, their 10 cents, but you're not coming with just like a shell. It's more of a pretty good song.
Yeah, some of them, like, you know, it's kind of almost exactly how the demo sounded on the final recording, but some of them we just were like, oh, like, I've got this demo here, but, you know, I'm not sure what to do with this part and this part, and then he'd start playing it, you know, in the jam room, and it would turn into something else. So
yeah, and that's awesome when you got a group of, because there's a lot of you, like for me, I think playing with TRS-4 is enough. Like, just organizing 3 other people other than me is plenty. How do you guys sort of go, like, because obviously, like, you're all in Brisbane, so that all works, and you were all serious because of the uni connection, but how do you go, like, organizing how you, like, the lot of you?
well, it is tough, and it used to be all 5 of us that would record on the albums, but now it's just me, Nathan, and Bodie that record on the albums, and then 5 of us play live. So that definitely made it a lot easier to, I guess, like, yeah, having 5 people's opinions on one song is, like, just sometimes too many.
Can we just, like, compromise on the next bit and then just move on? Otherwise, we're never going to, like, progress.
Sometimes, yeah, there used to be a few arguments. And now it's a bit less like that. I guess, like, yeah, now more so it's like the person who brought the song kind of has the final say. If you're having an argument about a certain part, then you might just be like, oh, look, it's your song, you decide.
Yeah, you sort of direct where it wants to go. Do you guys sort of have, like, because of the fact that you and Nathan are singing, do you have sort of okay, if we're going to do an album of 12 songs, I'll do CQG6. Is that sort of how you do it, or?
It definitely is. Yeah, I think we're, like, there's 15 songs on the album, me and Nathan sing 7 each, and we both dual sing in the 15. We keep it pretty 50-50 as much as we can, yeah.
No, awesome, and I think it really develops the live show. It's a lot of texture.
Yeah, we definitely wanted it to be, like, we always, like, when me and Nathan first met, we were like, I was wearing a Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band shirt, and he was wearing a Let It Be shirt, and we were just like, yeah, this is gotta be, I'm John, you're Paul, let's do this whole thing.
Yeah, it just worked. Sometimes the planets align like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Last time I saw you guys was at Big Pineapple, and that was a great set, and further example of the of just like the textures and the different voices and you doing, like, some of the older stuff and, like, Matt Muir and stuff like that, and those older tracks. How would you describe to to Steve-O Punter, who hasn't, heard the Jensens sound, how would you actually describe the sound yourself?
I guess, like, yeah, now it's kind of like just colourful, kind of retro fetish indie rock.
It's a mouthful, but I don't mind it.
Like, we definitely love the 70s, like, cause it's so varied. Like, I wouldn't say we just sound like this section of the 70s or this section. It's like we love that whole, and, like, things on either side of that, like the 60s and the 80s, and we love that whole idea and that colour and that texture, so we definitely want to do that, but also we still live in, 2020 and have all of these different things available to us that we're definitely going to still put in there, but we definitely approach songwriting and music with a bit of a kind of classic approach.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, when I first heard you guys at Soul Bar, I was like, I'm getting, like, indie 80s vibes from this, and like, that's such a bop. Like, that's such accessible music because it's just fun and it's just easy listening. Like, it's not niche, it's super accessible and super catchy.
Yeah, I definitely think we always, like, we never want to isolate our listener or make them feel like they don't, can't relate to what we're talking about or haven't heard that sound before. I mean, like, not in the way that we don't want to, progress and move forward and make new music, but we definitely want to, touch on something that the listener's familiar with.
For sure, and that's what they like. Like, there's no point reinventing the wheel when you've done a couple of albums and then you start fresh, because all your follower base is like, whoa.
Yeah, what's this?
So, like, what are your influences? Where did, like, music start for you? Is, like, have you always been amongst it?
Yeah, I got into music when I was, like, 12 maybe. Like I guess I like grew up in church and always had music kind of going on there because like my brother played in the band, and my mum like sang and stuff like that, so I always had music there. But I guess at like 11 or 12, I kind of realized, there was a whole kind of culture behind it that wasn't what I was hearing just on the radio. And I used to go, like, what really got me into music was I used to go to the library in Kiwana, and they'd have CDs there, and you could rent them out. And they just, whoever picked the catalogue there was a genius. Like, it was great music, and I just, got all these, like, Black Sabbath albums and the Beatles and the Velvet Underground and stuff like that, and I was just so obsessed.
Yeah, so you just like opened yourself up to your own catalogue, did your own homework.
Yeah, I really did the homework. Yeah, I was just so obsessed with it for, just wanted to know everything that had ever happened in music and in rock music. And yeah, I just had to research and just delve into it. And, yeah, it was a really fun time.
Yeah, and to absorb it all and then to have the strengths and abilities to then reproduce your own like solution based on all the other bits you've seen.
Yeah, I definitely when I first started playing, like I was so into punk, like I was so obsessed with CBGB, and I just listened to the Ramones and the Clash nonstop, and just that was kind of how I started playing. Like I still really haven't improved my guitar playing at all. But yeah, I just wanted to do something, and like all the early stuff that we played was just like, I don't know, just 3 power chords and just like a rock beat, and it was so fun.
We've all done that where you're just having a thrash, and it does crank.
It cranks. It feels so good, yeah.
Even if you're the only one who's having a really good time, plus your 2 or 3 offsiders, you're having a good time, and it's a good introduction, and then you iron out the bumps and go, this is what works, and it's a good chance to get those nerves out of the way. Like, I know a lot of people struggle with that, and it's obvious, like, it's public speaking, but you're telling stories and you're playing an instrument, like, for you, like, you do have a couple of tracks where it's just you and Steve over the microphone just, ripping it up, but you do have a lot of, that both the guitars and it's such a textural, dynamic, like, sound, the whole live performance. So how did you sort of like get comfy doing live stuff? Did you sort of get it all out your system when you were playing with the band we won't mention?
Yeah, I guess like I've always kind of done stuff like that. Like I was kind of like a bit of a theatre kid in primary school, and I just always sort of loved performing. And like my kind of idols are like people like David Bowie and Freddie Mercury, and these kinds of people who just want to kind of get up on the stage and, I don't know, run around and do crazy shit.
Put it all out there. No, they don't leave anything to waste.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's always been what I wanted to do. So I never had a problem with that. But I guess like as a band playing, like we've definitely gotten tighter, and those first couple of gigs can be a bit shaky. But like I guess like our school was like pretty good for that. Like me and Bodie met each other playing in like the school band, like the school like rock band. Like we would just play on parade and like play at like award ceremonies and shit like that. So I feel like if you can play in front of your whole school, the nerves are kind of gone after that.
Yeah, playing in front of your actual peer. I struggled the most with that. Playing with your peers, especially peers that don't necessarily want to be there, because it's like a school event. They're there. They couldn't give a shit, and then the mums and dads. Oh, that's my boy. It's like if you get past that crowd, everything's just shit kicking after that. It's just easy.
Everything's fine after that, yeah. And then like you get to like 20 and you're playing to like a group of wasted mates. That's fun. That's really easy.
And then you're just jamming out. Then it's just there's just a jam, but on a stage, really.
But for a while there, we were playing like to some bigger venues, and like Pineapple was fun, and like that's something that we're learning how to do now, I guess. Like playing playing at Soul Bar or playing at the zoo to 300 people is definitely different to playing on a festival stage to a couple of thousand people. But that's where we're getting really excited now. It's those kinds of gigs are. It's such a bigger. Every little movement you do has to be bigger. And every like, and it changes our set. Like we want to have all these interludes between songs, and we want to have this, crazy impact when we come out. That's like, wow. We really want to impress a crowd.
Yeah, especially when often the festival crowd, except for the few people that were there to see you, they are a casual crowd because there's other things to look at. There's other people to listen to. There's other things going on. And obviously, you can just walk over to something and I want a drink, or do you want some food, or let's go over to that stage. Keeping them, that's such a big thing. And then bringing more people across. That's something I noticed. You were obviously early on in the day, and I was there with Nobby, and we were there for pretty much kickoff, but you were there at an early time, and people were merging. Everyone was coming together, coming towards it, because it seemed like that stage was the one that was going off.
Yeah, definitely. That was really fun. We had no, when you're playing at 1:30 in the afternoon, you're just not expecting too much. But so we were yeah, whatever. We're still going to play, and we're still going to have a fun time, of course. But we were expecting 100 people, but kind of we just kicked off and were super loud and just kind of kept trying to draw people in, and then by the end we had quite a fun, significant crowd, and I was cool. These are the things that work. Yeah, you're absolutely right. At any time they could just be oh, go see something else, whatever. But we just really did our best to keep them there, which was really fun.
Yeah, and for such a setup with the 3 stages at each pole sort of thing of the area, you have to commit. If you're going to go, you disappear. You can't hear anything else whilst you're there. And it was awesome to see everyone sort of come together, and we just started sitting on the grass, and then suddenly we had to stand up because everyone was getting close, and then it was awesome to be a part of that. And I think that's really awesome to see the live set develop and all those things. But what would you say your most memorable gig is to date?
That's tough, hey. I guess there is definitely one that I always come back to. We went on a tour with our friends band, who was before they were our friends band, they were one of my favorite bands. And we went on tour with them, and they had one night at the Enmore Theatre in Sydney, and it's kind of like the Tivoli, but 3 times the size. And it's such an amazing venue. You walk in there and you can just feel music in the walls and in the carpet. It's amazing, and that so many amazing gigs have been played there.
It's an institution.
It's an institution, and we were on first, so we were don't know how many people will be there for us, but there was I don't know, something 900 people when we played. And the stage is fuck off big. I was just running up and down this stage, having so much fun, and that was so sick. And we just had the best time. We were still, so young and so eager, and just playing these handful of songs that we had written in these Q2 practice rooms. And yeah, it was just so much fun. It was the feeling inside was just electric, and after every song, this crowd just erupted because we just gave them absolutely everything. So I think that's probably my favorite gig.
That's pretty fair. That's a pretty it's a pretty inspirational room, and yeah, I can imagine anything would have been epic there.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song? I'm just making us pick favorite kids at this point. What is your favorite song to play? Because I have a favorite at the moment, but what is your favorite song to play?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just dancing around, just you and a mic.
I think it's definitely going to be a song where I don't have an instrument in front of me, because that's what I like to do, and what I would love to do more of. So it's probably Mount Mura, because people people are singing along to it. I don't have an instrument, and then like when we get to the end of the song and it kind of changes into that other part, like I just kind of go ham and I just like jump up onto the drum riser with Phil, and he's just smacking it, and I'm just yelling, incoherent babble.
Yeah, live for that incoherent babble.
It's sick. So that's probably usually my favorite part of the set, is where I can just run around and yell into a microphone.
I don't know what that's like, sitting at the back all the time, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I gotta ask, Bert and Ernie, a favourite of mine. Now I know how your process works. I know that you'll be able to tell me what it's about because it's yours. What is it about? Tell me the story of Bert and Ernie.
Well, I guess like growing up, queer, I didn't really have any like obvious. Like, my family's really Christian, so I didn't really have any obvious role models, and so I guess the name Bert and Ernie is like kind of like I don't know. I guess it's kind of a bit of an internet meme that they're kind of a couple.
Yes, I saw where this was going. Yep.
Yeah, so they're not. It's not like obvious. It's not ever stated, but like they have like two separate beds, but they could be brothers, but they're kind of a bit gay. So, yeah, that song is just about, I don't know, just growing up and not really having any obvious role models, and not really, having an ideal to like kind of strive for, and kind of feeling like you're, I don't know, just blundering in the dark a lot of the time and making mistakes, and not like looking to your parents or to your aunts and uncles for advice, because they don't really have the advice to give. Like, it's not like nobody has any advice, but
they will not get it. There's some things you can just never get. If you don't live it, you don't really understand it.
Exactly. So I guess like, and then the chorus is, all my friends are somewhere else and I'm here all alone. It's just like, I guess like seeing all of your friends like couple up.
Yeah, no, I get that, especially at like that high school time and stuff like that, when you see that sort of thing happening. And like the biggest thing you notice at school especially is we're in the same place all the time. It's just convenience. It's not often like, there's high school sweethearts that are married and have, it's all worked, but that convenience, and suddenly you're like, is it me, or is there actually some convenience to this? It's not necessarily anything. I'm not missing out on anything much necessarily. It's just in front of me, and I'm exposed to it for 6.5 hours a day, every day.
Exactly. You just like feel a little left out. It's not necessarily that, you're some unlovable person. It's just seeing people go through many relationships, especially at a young age. Like at Kawana, like there was no, definitely we live in a much more liberal time than when I was at high school, but like there wasn't a lot of same-sex couples at my school. I think there was zero. So
yeah, for sure. And high school is such a exciting place for, making sure people feel comfortable and making sure people feel respected. That's what they say about high school. It's the time of your life. So back to the Jensens. Where do you want to go? Where is the goal? What are you sort of working towards that you can share?
I guess like at the moment we're kind of just taking a bit of a time out, and I guess like we had a pretty solid plan at the end of 2019, as I'm sure a lot of people did. And so we've just kind of like spent the last 2 years being like, okay, well, fuck. Like when we went to that first lockdown in Queensland, I guess in Australia, like we had a tour booked, we had bought all these plane tickets for the tours, kind of, we're like, okay, we'll spend all this money now on the plane tickets, but we'll make it all back and then some, so we can pay for finishing up our album and, moving forward there. And we kind of had a sweet budget all that I had figured out. And then obviously that kind of all went to shit. So we still have like all these plane tickets that we can't use yet. So yeah, I guess like our plans got put on hold then. And it was like a really reflective time. So we've all been doing a lot of other things in music, like, like getting into DJing, getting into producing, making our own music that we kind of felt like, oh, this isn't really the Jensens, is going somewhere else. So kind of all just like giving ourselves the space to breathe, and I guess kind of reflecting on what we want the Jensens to be and coming back to it when we need it. So at the moment, we're really just like, we're in the middle right now of doing a string of like Talking Heads cover nights, which has been really fun. Like, and just like not having too high expectations right now of ourselves and just having fun with it. And whenever we want to make something again, we'll get back together. But we're kind of all just branching out into the music industry now, which is cool.
Yeah, awesome. And often if you're not growing, you don't really go stagnant, you go stale. And you don't want to do that, because then that's harder to get back to if you've gotten a little stale. So you don't want that. And that's totally fair enough.
But in saying that, like, this year's still been pretty busy for us, so we've still played like a lot of really fun gigs despite everything. And we just played a sweet gig out in Toowoomba at a festival there, and we're playing with the Tivoli in a couple of weeks. And yeah, it's all still really fun, and whatever comes toward us we'll probably jump at. But I guess, yeah, we'll probably come back to writing some music when we're ready.
Yeah, no, awesome. I'm bloody excited for it as well. I know a lot of people are, so I'm definitely at the front of the queue. Just to finish off, tell me, where can everyone find you? What do you want everyone to listen to, look at? Where are they going to hear you play next? Go for it.
Yeah, I just follow us on Instagram and listen to our album. It's really good.
That pretty much sums it up. Like, that's...
I'm very proud of that album. We worked really hard on that, and there's, I think, easily some of our best songwriting on there, and there's a lot of different moments on there that we've never, I guess, had the patience or had the ability to do before. We've, touched on a lot of different genre, moments that we've, not really been able to explore before. So I think definitely listening to our latest album is a good way to see where we're at the moment.
For sure. Well, thanks for having a chat with me, Joe. I appreciate it. I'm admiring the wall, your back wall. It's quite the scene.
Got to draw a little bit of visual inspo.
Exactly. Surround yourself with what you love. But thanks for having a chat with me, Joe. It was awesome to pick your brain, and I was very excited for this, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at a venue either down in Brisbane, Vegas, or up here very soon. Definitely keen to head back to the coast. We just played a sweet gig out. Awesome. Well, best luck with the rest of with what you're doing with that and the tour and stuff. And I look forward to when you guys actually do the tour, the long-awaited, the well-planned tour. That eventually when it happens, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, me too. Well, guys, that's another episode of the Asking Muso podcast. Awesome to talk with one member of the Jensens, and until next week, guys. As you know, I'll see you later.